Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion. Before we get started, let me first remind you that we are covered by the BIPCOT No Government License, which allows for the use and reuse of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. We're also protected by Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Therefore, everything said here on Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion is usually, mostly, sometimes hypothetical and in Minecraft.
I was gonna say we try to keep it in Minecraft, but sometimes things happen.
Yeah, we're just talking about playing Grand Theft Auto, that's all.
That's right.
No, but it's boys' night, and this is, I don't know, kind of the Marvin Hamer anniversary episode.
Killdozer. If I only had a time machine. Hey man, there's a basement in the hardware store.
Yeah, we've decided we're gonna call him Uncle Marv.
Yep.
I
think he's earned it.
We call TK, we call him Uncle Ted, so we're gonna refer to him as Uncle Marv.
Uncle Marv.
Uncle Marv.
Oh, we're so getting fucking red flagged.
And not
I took some smelling salts, and Uncle Eugene said we were gonna be fine.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Uncle Mikhail wasn't so sure, but Uncle Eugene said we're fine.
That's gonna be another one of our T-shirts in our mythical merch store. Don't worry, Uncle Ted said we're gonna be fine.
One way or another, right?
Uncle. Yeah, one way or another is gonna be.
Yeah.
Honestly, Andrew, we should reach out to Jason because his wife has the ability to do that.
Make us merch.
My what?
Yeah.
Oh, the other Jason.
No, Jason, and one that Andrew used to work with.
Yeah, we could do that. That would be. I don't know. Yeah, we should definitely work on that. We should try and figure out how to do some actual merch, some actual T-shirts and stuff, because that would be pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, after the last episode that we really talked about it, he texted me. He's like, my wife can do that, right? It's like, you don't say.
So I have a T-shirt in mine, a T-shirt idea in mind right now. Like when I was putting together the articles, I saw this article. Like I had posted about it before, and we laughed about it. But I think having a Dongcopter Dongcopter on a shirt would be absolutely fantastic.
You wouldn't even need context. Like you can just have just the dog, but it's gotta be like one of those like half silhouette things, like real artsy and like Banksy style.
Yeah,
Dongcopter.
Like it's one of those things. Like people are gonna look at it and either laugh their asses off or be disgusted. And half the people that laugh their asses off at it are gonna ask you, "What the fuck is that? What's that about?"
I mean, I'm used to that kind of a reaction. I just get that when I walk down the street. So,
well, I have one of those faces also.
Yeah,
which is why we do this MP3 instead of like live video.
Yeah, that's although people still watch the YouTube, man.
People
they still watch the videos. And I don't know why you'd want to look at our ugly mugs. It's probably just to see what new patches and T-shirts we got rocking.
There's got to be a drinking game that we're not keyed in on.
Yeah.
Yep. Take a shot every time Derica tells me to land the plane.
Chug your beer when Jason says, "Hold on, it gets better."
It gets better.
I have like 3 of those articles tonight.
I already basically have that as a drinking game while I'm doing the show, and he says, "But wait, it gets better." I'm like, glug 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 glug.
So, but we talked about the Dongcopter, and it's not part of episode 69. This is a recent thing. This article is from the New York Post, but it kind of went. I saw it everywhere. But it's man punches Albuquerque mayoral candidate after taunting him with flying dildo. I
have respect for the guy that taunted the mayoral candidate.
Well, I mean, he looks like the kind of guy that you would want to just taunt with a Dongcopter.
Actually, if you look at him, he almost looks like a chubby Vlad Putin with a high and tight.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, like
you're so getting locked into a cell under the pressure.
Could you imagine seeing that guy running down the street being chased by somebody with a 36-inch or double-sided, just flinging it son of a bitch like a lasso?
Well, if you remember, University of Texas a couple years ago, the legislation was pushing to allow open carry on campus, and there were the people that were wearing like holsters with dildos in them.
Yeah, the cocks not Glocks bullshit.
The cocks not Glocks, yeah. So it could happen.
Oh, that would be absolutely glorious.
Yeah. What makes this even better is that this guy is a county sheriff. So, article out: mayoral hopeful in Albuquerque was punched at a campaign event by a man who was also accused of flying a drone adorned with a dildo around the candidate while he was on stage. It's the second time the Dongcopter, complete with its own Twitter account, has harassed a New Mexico politician in recent days. Bernalillo County Sheriff Manuel Gonzalez III, who was not injured, brushed off the brazen Tuesday night stunt as a work of, quote, political operatives.
Dude, I'm going to start calling myself that from here on out. I'm a political operative, because that sounds way cooler than just like, I'm a anarchist who like has a podcast. I'm a political operative.
We need to CG your mic into a dong. Dude, Andrew just almost spit out his beer. That was close.
I did.
That was close.
I came close to that. I mean, you could
laptop shit enough. He doesn't need to make it work.
Yeah, Jesus. You could, I mean, like it's narrow enough. You could probably get like one of those giant black ones, like the Kongs, right? Uh-huh. Like King Mandingos, and then just like hollow out one side and stick it on there, and that would probably actually work. So, not that I'm trying to give anybody ideas or like I'm thinking about it or anything. I'm just saying like it's doable.
So if you're looking to send that to somebody, that's Andrew.
The incident, which was partly captured on video, happened as about 70 people gathered to hear the Democrats speak at the Revel Entertainment Center. The venue's owner confiscated a drone attached to the sex toy that was flying over the stage when the candidate spoke, and 20-something-year-old Kaylin Ashby Dreyer tried to get it back, according to the report. Quote, "Is that a dong with a drone?" a woman in the audience reportedly asked. A scuffle ensued, and Dreyer threw a punch at the sheriff's arm while reportedly yelling, quote, "He's a tyrant."
Well, he's not wrong.
Andrew's holding up a shirt that he's wearing that I cannot say on open air because I like this being on Spotify. Quote, he tried to take a swing. Yeah, quote, he tried to take a swing at me and it glanced across my arm, Gonzalez reportedly said. Quote, he struck me and I just took a step back. It wasn't anything I was very concerned about. I've been in a lot of worse situations. The suspect was arrested on charges of petty misdemeanor battery and misdemeanor resisting, evading, or obstructing an officer. The candidate said he believes 3 other people were involved in the perverted exploit, according to the paper. On Wednesday, Gonzalez held a news conference where he accused Dreyer and his cohorts of working for the incumbent mayor, Tim Keller, a rival Democrat. Quote, "It was a coordinated effort, very intentional, and these people were trained."
They were trained dong drone pilots.
If you're talking about Democrats working against one another, they're not calling each other fucking tyrants for one.
There's a Dongcopter trained in the Navy, joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
That's
It's a drone pilot.
yeah.
Oh,
It could just be a Marine Corps F-18 pilot too. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Quote, I was trying to answer one of the ladies' questions was with the group of 4 that were the political operatives for somebody, I believe possibly the other campaign, Gonzalez said. Keller's campaign reportedly said it had no part in the stunt and called it disruptive, rude, and immature.
Well, yeah, but fucking
that was
hilarious.
the point.
It was supposed to be disruptive. Obviously, it was rude, and yeah, it's immature.
Manny Gonzalez, quote, Manny Gonzalez is trying to associate with Tim Keller or radical leftist behavior, Dreyer told the newspaper. Quote, I'm not a fan of Tim Keller either, and I identify as a libertarian.
And that's why he called him a tyrant, because he's a fucking tyrant.
They're all fucking tyrants.
They are all fucking tyrants.
Tyrant, but are you kidding? Like, really, I would love to see. I really would love to see a campaign for the Dongcopters to start going to every political rally everywhere.
Video posted on the Twitter account entitled Dongcopter shows the adult aviation device flying outside a church that was being visited by Republican congressional candidate Mark Moores last week. The owner of the account changed her background image to show the drone harassing Gonzalez and posted a direct attack on the candidate late Wednesday night. Quote, for the record, at Sheriff Manny, Tim Keller sucks too. More on that later. But at least he isn't a corrupt Trump nut who fought against police, lapel cams, and every other form of accountability for years. We are all Dongcopter, not you, though.
You know, I just love the phrase adult aviation device. Like I am so happy that that's a phrase that exists now.
Oh.
It sounds like some really weird kink. Like, hold still, honey. I'm used to hearing that sound, but it's usually not attached to something that's actually moving back.
That's oh my god, that is fucking funny. See, now the next evolution, the next set of escalation in the Dildocopter, the helicopter, if you will, saga is going to be launching dildos.
Yeah, for the record, that Twitter account is Dongcopter, DONJ or DONG COPTER 505.
I might have to join
to
Twitter just to follow that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. But like I said, the next evolution in it is that you have to start launching dildos like rockets. That's clearly where we need to go from here.
You could get a bottle rocket, like a firework that is good enough to carry one of those.
It was the end of one of the Jackasses where that was the final scenes. Where they were using air cannons to fire all the dildos.
Wait a second. Model rocket motors.
Just in the bottom of the
the bottom of the dildo, just light it and
they're
go.
not stiff enough. But they're not. They're floppy. They wouldn't go. No, that isn't gonna work. I mean, we could try it.
You suppose. You could add rigidity to it if you really wanted to. I mean, it can be done.
I mean, I say that on most Saturday nights too.
We're thinking way too far into this.
What's wrong? You could add rigidity to it if you wanted to. Heavens, most guys. It's okay.
This is the level of professionalism that people have come to associate us with. We go into in-depth conversations about strippers and dildo copters.
No, dildo rocket copters.
Dildo rockets. Yeah,
dildo rocket
copters.
Yeah. Now, could you make a rocket pod that attaches to the drone?
I mean, really, the final thing would be to create an ICBD, an intercontinental ballistic dildo.
Would you have?
It would look like Dr. Evil's rocket in Austin Powers.
What I'm wondering is, would you have MIRV-Ds? Multiple independent re-entry vehicle dildos?
No, it'd be merds.
Yeah.
Merds.
Yeah,
We
re-entry
can have
dildos.
we can have a land-based dildo army too, and get like RC cars with dildos on top, and just be driving
So we
along
have the
with dildos
triad.
flopping.
You
So
know,
we
I
have-
mean,
Like I said,
just watching a politician run away from like this little RC car with this big fucking dong on it would just be great. I would just pay money, absolutely pay money to watch that happen.
well, we're only about a year away from the next mayoral race here in my town. Maybe.
Yeah, hey, look at that. You can just chase them around with a dick on an RC car. So you'd have the dildo rover, the dildo copter.
Oh, remember when PETA splashed red paint on everybody? Right, you remember when that was happening? When
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
if just a dildo and just splashes.
White paint.
Like-
I didn't want to say it out loud, but yeah,
no. It's got to be just cornstarch and water.
cornstarch and water, so it dries.
Yeah, and it's clearly like white LP.
Yeah.
Oh,
Suck non-Newtonian fluid, bitch.
we're bad people. And
No,
I'm
we're
okay-
not.
And I'm okay with that.
Anybody else that listens to this is thinking the same shit we are. We just have the balls to say it out loud.
I don't know if they're quite that twisted. I
which
guess.
is why we have a mediocre
Think about
podcast and they don't.
Yeah.
If they're listening
Hey.
to us, if they're listening to us, they are that twisted.
Not necessarily.
What I find funny is that come Tuesday, my son's gonna listen to this podcast.
You're gonna know when he's doing it too, because you're gonna hear him laughing and being like, "What the fuck?"
No, he's at his mom's, which is gonna make it even more entertaining.
Oh yes. What are you listening to? And she's just gonna hear adult aviation device and be like, "What the fuck?" What are you listening to?
And if this is your first time listening to Anarchy Fringe Roundtable discussion, we're sorry.
No, we're not.
But not really. Just all I can think of now is dodgeball with White Goodman. Just kidding, but not really.
If you can dodge a dildo, you can dodge a congressional.
I crashed.
Oh,
Could you now? I want you to picture that Justin Long takes a wrench to the face, replace it with a dildo, and then all of a sudden you get like that old school comic where it shows up and goes dick smack.
dick smack. Yeah.
Pause it just before it hits him in the face. It was at this moment he knew he fucked up.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! 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 No!
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
A Twitter account called the Mushroomer.
You got to roll the tip in ink first, and then smack them in the face. Politicians, they just mushroom stamp them all.
I've seen the GIF of when the guy threw the shoe at George at G-Dub.
He's like, "Whoa, hey!"
Like I've seen that where it was digitally replaced by a dildo.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be funny.
Good
Oh.
times. Good times.
Yep. All right. There were no segues in that at all.
No, they're not.
No.
I don't even know what article we're going to next. So
I don't either. Which let's go with the Facebook one. Facebook keeps touting its labels, but data suggests labels actually amplified Trump's quote misinformation.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my reaction too. Because Facebook loves their warnings, right? When you post a link or when you share a meme or literally anything that has to do anything with COVID or vaccine, you'll see a warning. It was the same.
Anything that doesn't match with the narrative that they want you to be paying attention to, they put a warning on it.
Well, you know
and
what's
anything
ridiculous?
that doesn't toe the line, yeah.
Yeah, and they like I pointed out how bad the algorithm was when I did that post where I just said blah blah blah. Here's a random post that says nothing except it mentions the word COVID and vaccine, blah blah blah, and then it popped up with the, the thing, and I'm like, see, that's all it takes, man. You just got to say the words COVID and vaccine, and have somebody else comment on it, and immediately that'll pop up. But don't forget that Zuckerberg just announced that he wasn't going to be banning people anymore for mentioning that the virus may have escaped from the Wuhan lab, because lo and behold, the Department of Defense is investigating it now. And all of a sudden I'm going, oh, and you know what? We're not going to hear, sorry, you were right. You guys were right. Nope. Sorry for banning you from social media endlessly.
No. It's what it is. It's the 3 steps back. It's the 3 steps back, 2 steps forward thing.
Can I have my account back now?
No.
Damn it.
No. But Facebook labeled at least 506 of former President Donald Trump's posts in 2020 and 2021. On average, the labeled posts, those are the labels that they would pop up with a warning or false information or whatever. The labeled post earned over 2 times more interactions per post than his non-labeled posts.
I mean, correlation doesn't necessarily equal causation either, but still.
Well, given the psychological aspect, like if you know that Facebook is in, or that social media, right, is in league with the Dems and all that good stuff, if they label something as dangerous, if you know what they're actually about, you're going to look at that dangerous thing and go, oh, okay, it's probably true, or at least has a hint of truth to it.
Well, and that's the thing. Remember from Game of Thrones, anybody else who watches Game of Thrones, cut a man's tongue off and all you tell the world is that you fear what he might say.
Yes.
Yep.
So, but Facebook keeps touting its labels as proactive responses to misinformation spread on the platform, even though the internal and external data shows that the labels are ineffective and that the platform's application of them is inconsistent at best. In fact, Media Matters found that the average number of interactions per post on former President Donald Trump's labels post is more than double of his post overall, and that posts containing his misinformation are still spreading on the platform, even though he is suspended from it now.
So they still call it misinformation, even though they've acknowledged that one of the things that he said may in fact be accurate, but it's still labeled as misinformation by social media.
Well, not only did they say that, remember that when Trump brought up, that there was evidence that it might have escaped from the lab in Wuhan, the Democrats didn't just put a label on that. Like, they screamed loudly, you people are insane, you just hate Asians, you just they went nuts.
Look at how hard they came down on him when he said Kung Flu.
Yeah.
He said that one time and they just exploded.
Well, yeah, it's propaganda. That's what they do. But Facebook labeled at least 506 posts between January 1, 2020 and January 6, 2021. These posts earned over 205.8 million interactions, or average of roughly 407,000 interactions per post. Comparatively, all of post-Trumps during the time earned 927 million interactions, or on average, roughly 152,000 interactions per post.
Man, why can't we be that popular? Actually, I know why we can't be that popular. The very last article that we just did is why we're not that popular.
Well, you would think with, all of the bullshit that everybody deals with though in their day-to-day life, Andrew, you would think articles like the last one would be why we should be getting more popular.
Yeah, but
Facebook labeled 147 of Trump's 868 posts that cited right-wing media outlets. These 147 posts earned 42 million interactions, or on average, roughly 291,000 interactions per post.
Wow.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. If you were sponsored, right, and you got paid even just 10 cents per interaction,
10 per penny. I mean, you're still going, $2,900.
Yeah,
at 10 per penny.
My God.
So, but yeah,
I mean, that's
like we said, the psychology of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
the
mean,
biggest
and
thing.
that's the thing is like think about the like if well, think about like the Dark Side of the Moon thing, right? With the Dark Side of Oz, where everyone said, oh, if you play Dark Side of the Moon at the right point, after at the second lion's roar of Wizard of Oz, then it all syncs up and it's like this unholy alliance, blah blah blah. Don't do it.
Yeah.
And what did everybody immediately want to do? They all want to do it. Or if you play this record backwards, it says like "Hail Satan," and like everyone immediately wanted to hear this like "Hail Satan." So it's one of those things where if you tell somebody they're not allowed to know something, they will immediately want to know it.
Yep.
Immediately.
And just look at the Fauci emails that just came out. As soon as those came out, the veil was kind of lifted up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
People that actually wanted to know, that were actually interested in covering or understanding all of this shit, immediately, oh, what's in there?
Yeah, I got dinged with a spam notification because I shared it shared it too much, and Facebook labeled my post as spam.
Huh.
Yeah.
What a coincidence that is totally unrelated to the content within the post, I assure you.
No. And I didn't share some obscure link. I shared like a Newsweek article.
Yeah. Well,
way to go, Facebook. Goebbels would be proud.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is it works. It works in the reverse. It doesn't make people not want to see this stuff. They find out that this stuff is all being censored, and they go, "Why are you censoring this? Why don't why shouldn't I see this?"
Dr. Seuss, right? When that one school board was talking about banning Dr. Seuss for whatever, they didn't do it, but they were talking about it, and people freaked out and started like buying Dr. Seuss and sent Dr. Seuss to like the number 3 most purchased item in like 2020 or something. Crazy thing like that.
Dr. Seuss is All the Places You'll Go is currently the number 2 best-selling book on Amazon.
Yeah. This is insane.
Because you said I can't have it, so now I want it. Like,
yep.
I mean, the only reason I ever downloaded when I was younger, the only reason I ever downloaded the Anarchist Cookbook was because I was told that I'm not allowed to see it, that it's banned. So I'm like, why? And then I read through it, and I'm like, well, this is lame.
Yeah, the only reason I read Catcher in the Rye was because they were saying, oh, it's a banned book, you can't read it. Like the local library had like a list of banned books, and I went out of my way to read like 3 of those books.
Yep, Catcher in the Rye, Slaughterhouse-Five, To Kill a Mockingbird.
God,
that's not all that much different than like my daughter. I can remember in 8th grade English class reading Fahrenheit 451.
Oh, I love that book.
I love the book Fahrenheit 451. My daughter didn't even know that book existed. And
the way that you get her to read it is you tell her, you're not supposed to be reading this.
That's pretty much what I'm doing. Is I'm like, the reason why you didn't read this in 8th grade like I did is because they don't want you to read it.
Oh.
And she loves dystopian novels. Like Divergent is one of her favorite book series. She loves the Hunger Games stuff and whatnot. So I don't think it's going to take a whole lot to get her to read things like Fahrenheit 451, Animal Farm.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the irony is, and this is something I was just talking about earlier today with somebody, is I said, the funny thing is that the movie-going public and the book-reading public, especially in the United States, they'll go to theaters and they'll cheer on Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia. They'll go to theaters and they'll cheer on Katniss Everdeen. They'll go to theaters and they'll cheer on Winston in 1984. They'll go, they'll cheer on I can't remember his name from Fahrenheit 451, but the firefighter in Fahrenheit 451. They'll cheer on, the protagonist in Huxley's Brave New World. And then as soon as they leave the theater, they'll yell at people for not supporting the Stormtroopers, and they'll question why you wouldn't go, why you wouldn't support. Well, you may not like him, but President Snow is your president. And, they'll, talk about how, well, Ingsoc just wants what's best for us and you should respect the Ministry of Truth. And they'll do these things as soon as they walk out of theaters, as soon as they put the book down,
and they don't see the irony at all.
Yeah, yep. It completely escapes them that what they're doing is they are part of the Galactic Empire. They are part of the capital, right? That's running the Hunger Games. They are the authorities that are saying, no, you're not allowed to read books. You go into your little hologram suites and you go play with that and you ignore the world around you in the incoming war. No, don't rebel. Don't not take your drugs that will mute all of your emotions. Like, that's what they do as soon as they put those books down. But as soon as they pick them up, they're like rooting for them. And they'll call us horrible for being like,
in that protagonist position.
Yeah, like basically the protagonist in a dystopian future novel. I mean,
except it's not the future, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
it's here.
It is.
It's today.
It is.
It's happening before your very fucking eyes.
It is. What's today? The 6th. So it is 5 days ago. Because Galactic Stormtroopers monitor the U.S. Space Force swearing-in ceremony.
And you know what? As soon as I saw that,
Stormtroopers.
Oh, I busted up laughing.
Immediately.
Yes, this is an article from the Washington Times. Galactic Stormtroopers. Those are actual stormtroopers.
Yes, they're in, and these aren't even like, if you're a Star Wars nerd. Remember, these aren't even clone troopers who at least helped the Galactic Senate before they turned on the Jedi and helped the Jedi. No. These are the marched alongside Darth Vader and gunned down everybody in Leia's ship at the opening of Episode 4, fucking Stormtroopers.
Yes. Article says, is the Galactic Empire secretly pulling the strings behind America's newest military department? A recent photograph of a high-ranking Air Force officer transferring into the U.S. Space Force is prompting questions that the Pentagon officials are hesitant to answer. In the official Department of Defense photograph, Major General Deanna Bart is sworn into the U.S. Space Force at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. Closely monitoring the event are a pair of stormtroopers, the ruthless infantry soldiers of the Empire, along with members of the dreaded Red Guard, Emperor Palpatine's personal security detail.
Yeah, that one especially. Like the Imperial Guard was fucking great.
Yeah.
What I find interesting here is that they say a pair of stormtroopers. If you look behind her, there's a third one behind her.
Yeah.
There's actually 3 of them plus the
one
Emperor's
of them isn't
Guard.
a stormtrooper.
And look above. Oh wait, look above the guy swearing her in. Vader is standing right there.
That is the stormtrooper you don't talk about. On Wednesday, reporters grilled the top Pentagon officials about the unusual photograph. Quote, does the Defense Department endorse the values of the Intergalactic Empire? A reporter, Jeff Shogel, with the website Task and Purpose, asked the Pentagon spokesman, John Kirby, during a press conference. Mr. Kirby, a retired Navy admiral, then slowly shook his head, stared down at the table in the briefing room, and said, quote, "You're killing me, Smalls."
Killing me, Smalls.
It wasn't immediately clear whether that was a reference to the movie The Sandlot or a secret Galactic Empire distress code. Nevertheless, after a few moments, Mr. Kirby made another attempt to answer the burning question. Quote, Jeff, we support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Oh, I assure you, the Constitution is quite operational.
While the Pentagon officials didn't say if it also included those from galaxies that are far, far away, the picture itself had a more mundane explanation. Major General Burt was being sworn in the middle of International Space Day, celebrating being held at the base on May 7th.
Do you swear to uphold, defend the Constitution, blah, blah, blah? Yes.
I have altered the Constitution. Pray I do not.
If you're doing,
do not alter it further.
Isn't that unconstitutional? I have altered the deal. Pray I do not alter it further.
Oh.
You missed it, Andrew, when you said yes. You're supposed to, yes, my master.
Yes, my master. I mean, yeah, and you're right. There's so you have a scout trooper directly to her left. You then have a stormtrooper, a red Imperial Guard, and Darth fucking Vader watching over.
Behind the guy who giving her the oath, and we don't know which kind of trooper is immediately behind her because she completely obscures it, but he seems to be a little short for a stormtrooper.
I see what you did there. I mean, the fact, like, this is like the most unself-aware moment in the history of any armed force ever.
It's a really bad image.
The only way you could actually have gone with a worse look is if, like, the German army had like, they were going to, like, have stormtroopers as a
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
I can think of maybe a couple of ways this could look worse, but it wouldn't be quite as mainstream as Star Wars. I mean, if you had a couple of system lords from Stargate standing behind her, I could see that looking worse.
Like fucking old standing there,
or something along those. I could see that maybe being a little bit worse.
Fucking, they end their oath with "resistance is futile. You will be assimilated." Like, the whole room is lit green, and he's wearing some black leather number.
Can someone please, for love of all that is holy, can someone please Photoshop Joe Biden as Darth Helmet? Somebody out there in the memeverse, please do that.
Oh, that would be glorious. Absolutely fucking glorious.
I just want a lightsaber now.
Yeah, the problem is, if you actually look at the physics of a lightsaber, as soon as you turned it on, it would set everything, including you, around it on fire.
Hey, don't kink shame me, bro.
It's more elegant than a blaster.
He died of spontaneous combustion.
He was smiling though. Weird motherfucker. Well, all right, let's get on to this main article that I really wanted to cover, because it is seriously fucked up. It is like, we got two really bad ones, but I mean, this one is. All right, black Oklahoma man faces first-degree murder charge after killing white alleged burglar. It's 2021, so they're going to put race into everything, blah, blah, blah. So don't read into that part. But LaRue Bratcher, a 34-year-old black Army veteran from Oklahoma, remains behind bars on a charge of first-degree murder more than a year after he shot and killed a white man allegedly trying to break into his marijuana grow business. With the trial date delayed until later this year, Bratcher's family and friends and members of the Oklahoma City community are rallying behind him, saying the murder charge is unjust. Quote,
no shit.
I feel like this is an injustice for a simple fact that if the roles were reversed, if this is a white person, blah, blah, okay, yeah, that's his wife. I'm not going to get into the racist shit, because the racist stuff, I mean, yeah.
It's not about race. What it is,
it's not about race.
Which we're going to get to in a minute. It's
quote, someone broke into his place, Bratcher's uncle, Derek, and neighbors said at a rally last month. Quote, he didn't go out looking for trouble. He was in his own place of business. Right? His own place of business. That's where the issue is created. In 2018, when Oklahoma voters legalized medical marijuana, Bratcher established Premium Smoke LLC, a marijuana grow shop located in Oklahoma City, whose business license expired a year later. That's the cusp. That's the cusp right here. Mm-hmm. His license expired. Bratcher had planned to renew his license in 2018, his wife said, but he learned he would not be allowed to do so until he made nearly $100,000 worth of Bratcher had planned to renew his license in 2019. So in 2018, he filed It went for a year, and then 2019 he couldn't renew it unless he made $100,000 in renovations on the warehouse that housed it. So he held off. On May 27th, 2020, around 1 a.m., Bratcher was in the Grow Operation warehouse when Daniel Hardick, a 42-year-old white man, allegedly attempted to break into the business for the second consecutive night. Video from that night reportedly shows Hardick park his car near the rear of the shop, walk to the business's doors, jostle with the door handle, attempting to gain entry. Quote, he was trying to break in when the business owner who was inside the business at the time apparently opened fire with a handgun, striking and killing the man who was breaking in. That's according to Master Sergeant Gary Knight of the Oklahoma City Police Department. Bratcher called the police shortly after the shooting, and once at the scene, officers called the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority to ensure that the business was legal. When they found out that the business license had expired, Bratcher was arrested for operating a grow shop illegally, a felony, and was held on $5,000 bond. He was not, however, initially arrested in Hardick's murder. In addition to arresting Bratcher, authorities also seized 480 marijuana plants worth an estimated $1.5 million. A day after his arrest, Bratcher was released on bond. But just a week later, the city district attorney office reviewed the case and upgraded Bratcher's charges to second-degree murder. 1 week later, police raided Bratcher's home, escorting him, his children, and his wife to the street and arresting Bratcher again. Then, after he refused to accept a plea deal late last year, Bratcher's charges were upgraded to first-degree murder. The family told Yahoo News that it does not understand why.
Yeah, for first-degree murder, it has to be premeditated. You have to be able to prove that he intentionally was there to kill him.
Yes.
Yes.
Individuals convicted of second-degree murder in Oklahoma can expect to serve a minimum of 10 years in prison to life sentence, which is classified as 45 years in Oklahoma, with eligibility for the parole after serving 85% of the sentence. The penalties for those convicted of first-degree murder vary, but include a life sentence without the possibility of parole or death.
Now, one thing I will say...
Hold on. Despite Oklahoma being a state with a standard ground law or castle doctrine, those rights do not apply to those who are found to have committed a felony. Prosecutors said that because Bratcher operated a grow business without a license, he was felonious and any self-defense clause is thrown out.
How fucking retarded is that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. What I was going to say is they said that this guy that tried to break in, this was the second consecutive night.
They have that
he
on
tried
video.
to gain entry.
They have that on video.
That's probably where I can see them trying to make first degree stick, is the fact that they could try to say that he was there intentionally to try to, capture or kill the person who's trying to break into his place.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's important to remember that he was trying to break in and he had not broken it.
Right.
He was on the other side of the door. Bratcher shot him through the door to kill him. This is the other reason why they're charging him with murder, is because he hadn't actually entered the business, which is absolutely obscene as well. He's trying. I have to wait for him to have gained entry before I can defend myself and defend my property.
If this was your house, your home, your castle, somebody rattling your door and trying to break in your door, right? That's a life-threatening situation.
In the state of, actually, this would all play out the same way in the state of Wisconsin, because in the state of Wisconsin, castle law only applies after they have crossed the precipice of your door.
Yeah, so they can kick your door in, but then don't come in.
You can't shoot them at that point. However, if they break your window and, like, say you have those windows that are right next to the door, if they break that window and reach in, a part of their body has entered your home and you're allowed to shoot them at that point.
Which is why you always make sure that immediately after shooting them, before they hit the ground, you grab their body and make sure it falls into your house.
Yes. Make sure their feet are, or at least 1 foot is inside your building, and then call 911, folks.
This is the importance of having a burner gun. Because Oklahoma would not have objected to him defending himself if the guy was armed and had a gun in his hand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bratcher's lawyer, Clay Curtis, believes that even without the stand your ground defense, that Bratcher acted in a reasonable manner. Quote, the evidence shows Mr. Bratcher acted reasonably under the circumstances. I think anyone would be in fear for the life in that circumstance. The case isn't about us growing weed in terms of a homicide. It's about whether people think he acted reasonably under the circumstances. Bratcher's wife, who also served in the U.S. military, believes that the courts are making Hardwick out to be the victim and using her husband's army training against him. Quote, we've been fighting for this country, and at the end of the day, it feels like you come home and it doesn't mean anything to anybody.
Well, that's
because it doesn't. Especially
Vicky,
when you're talking about the government.
Vicky added that at last year's bond hearing, prosecutors said her husband was a, quote, threat to the community because of his previous combat training and expertise with a weapon. Quote, they used our experience of being a veteran against us. That's literally a slap in the face.
Has any, I mean, everybody here has seen the movie fucking Con Air, right?
Yes.
That's the only reason he was convicted of the charges is because he had the training to literally defend himself with his bare hands.
Yeah. So, but his trial isn't until October.
Ooh, speedy trial.
Yeah, that's a real fair and speedy fucking trial. I mean, and that's the thing is, like, again, what's happening here is that most of the media is trying to make this out to be a white versus black thing. So a lot of the conservatives are going to leave it alone and aren't going to bring it up. But the reality is, the real hardcore reality is that this isn't about white versus black. It's not that it was a white burglar and he was a black man. It's that he was a marijuana grower who couldn't afford the $100,000 needed.
which is funny because he had the permit in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. Which means that they approved it in the first place, but they wouldn't renew it without him doing $100,000 in renovations.
Yeah. I mean, it's because they're moving the goalposts because they don't. That's what you see constantly with these places that legalize marijuana is that, and that's the danger of legalization versus decriminalization. But that's what you keep seeing is they'll move the goalposts as much as they can so that while technically it's legal and the people who made campaign promises that they were going to make it legal can go, see, I made it legal.
Yep.
But they do everything they can to make it so incredibly impossible to actually continue to comply with the law that everything winds up illegal by default anyway.
Yeah, the barriers to entry are just astronomical, and that squeezes out the little guy and opens the door for corporate interest to step in and make more money because they have the financial backing.
Well, yeah, I mean, they do the same thing.
It wouldn't be that big of a stretch for somebody like a big tobacco company to move into a state that is legalized.
Philip Morris bought several thousand acres in the Humboldt Trinity Triangle, the Green Triangle here in California. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same thing. And Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds do the same thing in the vape space, where they did everything they could to push through as many regulations as possible to make everyone, all the little guys, impossible for them to set up their labs and comply and everything else. I mean, I know one of the local vape producers here, it cost them $2 million to get started in doing this. And that's obscene. That's utterly obscene. There's no reason it should take that much to start mixing some food, some flavorings, distilled water, and nicotine. That's absurd. You don't need that kind of shit. And then, you see that too. You see that in firearms, right? You see where they didn't outright ban machine guns. No. Instead, what they did is they said, well, you have to pay us a $200, which in 1934 was nigh unobtainable for most people, $200 tax stamp to get these. And by the way, we have to do this massively invasive privacy background check before you actually get to have the gun.
Yeah.
And we can just delay it and delay it and delay it for a couple of
Mhm.
years before we even let you get it. I mean, all of these things, the point is to make sure that only the upper class, the controlling class and the business controlling class, that only they have access to all of this freedom, that everyone else is stuck
And
doesn't
that
get
also
it.
the same holds true when you add in the Hughes Amendment in '86, because up until that point, as long as you did a Form 1, you could make your own machine gun.
So,
But after '86, now anything produced after '86 is just, you can't have it unless you're a cop or a member of the military.
Well, and I guarantee you that the whole reason that the Hughes Amendment happened was because of things like the Lightning Link, where suddenly people could obtain a machine gun for $34.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, anyone could have a machine gun, and so they had to close that down, so that, again, only the police, only the military, only the government, only the very, very rich could have any access to this stuff.
Well, according to people that I can talk to from the era, they said that the Hughes Amendment was supposed to be a poison pill.
Yeah, it was supposed to
completely kill the folk, or kill FOPA altogether.
Yeah, and but I mean, that you see it in the auto industry too. You see where if I'm a huge company and I want to import cars from another country that are built in another country, and I want to import them, well, I have to go, with the NHTSA, I have to go through crash testing, and I have to get this, get them to sign off on it and everything. So I have to provide multiple vehicles for them to crash and everything, to test it all and get it all certified and pay all that money and all this other stuff. And I have to pay all these taxes and all these tariffs and all these things. And if I'm a huge company, I can do that. But if I'm a boutique company that maybe makes 150 cars a year, I'm just like a small family run car company, I can't do that. I can't afford to do that.
Yep.
I mean, shit, that's part of what caused problems with Motor Rex initially, was them bringing R32 Skylines in to the country. Was, I mean, if anybody's familiar with the Motor Rex scandal, holy shit, there was so much more to it. But what started it was that they had provided a bunch of these Skylines to be crashed by the NHTSA. And then the NHTSA said, well, we'll give you the waiver. And then said, oh, wait, no, we won't. We need to do one more crash. And they're like, we can't get any more cars. Like, we can't afford to give you another car. And had to beg them for the waiver at that point. Like, this is what they do in every single space. It's not just drugs. It's cars, and it's guns, and it's anything else.
Let's circle back around to the article. There's this one paragraph I want to go over it again, and it's Castle Doctrine. Castle Doctrine rights do not apply to those who have been found to have committed a felony. Prosecutors say that because Bratcher operated his business without a license, he was felonious, and any self-defense clause is thrown out.
And if it had been any other business but a marijuana business that had its permit expire, that would not have been a felony.
He has not been convicted of a felony.
Yeah, he hasn't been. He's only been charged.
But because he's been charged of felonious activity, and then he defended himself and his business, now it's, oh, well, you're going to be charged with first-degree intentional homicide, and you may get a lethal injection for it. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep, because the government made the barrier to entry so large that he couldn't hurdle over it.
Well, and remember, they didn't make those barriers to entry that big until after he was established.
Right. And because the barrier to entry was so large that he couldn't hurdle over it, he couldn't purchase his rights back from the government to grow medicine.
Yep.
Yeah.
But because of that, him defending his property, he's a murderer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, if this had been, let's say this had been a garage, right? Like a mechanic that had let its business license expire.
Yep.
He still doesn't get charged because it's not a felony to operate the business without the proper licensing in that instance. If he had been running a grocery store and had let some business license expire, he doesn't get charged. If he had been running any other fucking business, he wouldn't have been charged. It's solely because it was a marijuana grow. For medical marijuana, he's helping cancer patients and people with Parkinson's and people with Tourette's,
pain,
people
Epilepsy.
with chronic pain, and people with epilepsy, and like he's helping those people. And in response, they go, "You're going to need to pay us. You're going to need to pay out another $100,000 to upgrade your facility that we were okay with 12 months ago."
Yep.
Oh, you didn't do that? And then you defended your property? Hey, guess what? Felony.
So
And now, guess what? You're looking at lethal fucking injection. And the only reason they upgraded it, don't forget, the only reason they upgraded it to first-degree murder was because he refused the plea deal. He wouldn't play ball and just bow down and lick their fucking boots.
Oh. This is the real kicker. While he's sitting in prison, the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority updated its policy this year to allow cardholders to apply for a new license while still using their expired one until the new one comes in the mail.
Motherfuckers.
So basically, if this had happened now, he would be completely fine in compliance.
He would be largely compliant, yes.
Right. He'd be largely, yeah. Keep in mind, he still shot the guy while he was outside his property, and they still wouldn't have given him castle doctrine protection. But he would have been looking at, being charged as if he's a business owner, a legit business owner who's just defended his property, rather than he's a drug dealer who's then shot somebody trying to rob him.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's how they're treating him right now.
That's so frustrating to me. It's so frustrating to me.
But that, like Andrew said, that's what they do. They keep moving the goalposts, and they make it absolutely impossible for people to actually.
Not only are they moving the goalposts, they're putting the goalposts in different stadiums.
Yeah, at random.
Oh, we're not playing that game anymore. Now we're playing this game, and here's the goalpost over here.
You were playing football. Now it's soccer.
Yeah, like
now it's soccer with a hint of basketball. That's what we're playing. Yeah. Now.
Oh, sorry. It's field hockey actually. We went to field hockey. No one told you? Oh, well, that sucks for you.
Oh, now it's water polo. Sorry.
Monster truck, start running.
Yeah.
We got this guy, not sure.
You show up with the monster truck and they're like, "What? Why are you showing up with a monster truck to a game of
cricket
polo?" Or cricket.
Beach volleyball.
Yeah, this was synchronized swimming. What the hell are you doing?
How are you going to get that monster truck on a balance beam? I mean,
yeah, this is acrobatics. It's fucking. I mean, what they're playing, what the government plays is Kelvin ball, right? If you read Calvin and Hobbes, you know what I'm talking about. What they're playing is Kelvin ball here, where if they start to lose,
the rules change.
They just change the rules until they win again.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's either Kelvin ball or pigeon chess, one of the two.
Yeah. Oh, but unless it's at night on a Tuesday in May, in which case
you can't walk down just to remember, you can't walk down a public sidewalk with an ice cream cone in your back pocket.
Yeah. If Mercury's a retrograde, you can only play with your left hand. Yeah.
Unless you're wearing a yellow shirt, in which case it's just your pinky.
Speaking of that, Missouri court denies case of man prosecutor deems innocent.
This one has made me so just unable to describe my theory.
I could actually watch my neck pulse while I read this article.
You feel that thump in your temple?
Yep.
That thump.
I could feel right here. I could feel my pulse right here.
And anyone, and and I will say, anyone listening, if you ever have somebody tell you, well, just trust your day in court. Just wait for your day in court.
Yeah,
Don't worry
just
about
wait
it.
for your day in court.
Refer them to
Bring
this.
this article up.
Yeah. A Missouri prosecutor on Wednesday said she's disappointed the state Supreme Court won't hear the case of a Kansas City man imprisoned for more than 40 years for a triple murder that prosecutors say he didn't commit. I'm going to read that again. A Missouri prosecutor on Wednesday, so this is a few days ago, said she's disappointed that the state Supreme Court won't hear the case of a Kansas City man imprisoned for more than 40 years for a triple murder that prosecutors say he did not commit.
The prosecutors, the fucking prosecutors, the people whose job it is to try and argue that you're guilty are saying this man is not guilty of this crime. We should let him go. But because he was already convicted, it has to go back through the courts. And even though the prosecutors were like, no, he's not guilty, he's still going to have to sit in fucking prison.
Yeah. Not only is he not guilty, the prosecutors said that today, like if this case came before him today, he would not prosecute it.
He wouldn't even prosecute. I mean,
or she would not prosecute it. But yeah,
I don't
And,
even.
you know, I had to change my patch because I put on the drone target patch because this article is going to make me a fucking drone target. This is ridiculous.
Missouri Supreme Court judges on Tuesday denied 61-year-old Kevin Strickland's case without providing an explanation. Jackson County Prosecutor Jean Peters Baker, in response, said her office is, quote, pursuing all avenues of exoneration for Mr. Strickland. Strickland's lawyers, including Midwest Innocence Project attorneys, said in a statement they plan to refile his petition in civil court. Quote, this denial is just one more prosecutorial barrier that the system throws up in front of innocent people. There is no doubt that of Mr. Strickland's innocent, and every court should have the power to set him free.
So this is actually this is a state level crime, correct?
Yes.
So he wasn't charged in federal court.
No.
Just go to the governor and have the goddamn governor issue him a goddamn pardon.
But he shouldn't have to get issued.
He shouldn't have to.
His conviction should get overturned, which means it's as if he was never.
Hold on.
I absolutely agree with you.
Calm down. Take a deep breath. We'll get there. We'll get there. And if you already read it, you know where it's going.
I know where it's going. I know it only gets better.
All right. No, this one does not get better. Strickland, who will turn 62 on Monday, that is tomorrow, the 7th, was 18 when he was arrested. So his entire adult life
has been in prison.
Yes,
prison.
With other murderers.
Yeah,
actual criminals of various stripes.
Yeah. 18 when he was arrested. Prosecutors say the case was, quote, thin from its inception, resting almost entirely on the dubious identification of a traumatized shooting victim. Prosecutors said they wouldn't charge Strickland with any crimes if the same case was before them today. The killings occurred in 1978 when a group of assailants ransacked a Kansas City home. Larry Ingram, 21, John Walker, 20, Sherry Black, 22, were fatally shot. Cynthia Douglas, the only eyewitness, was wounded but pretended to be dead. In an investigation published in September, the Kansas City Star reported that for decades, two men who pled guilty to the killing swore Strickland was not with them and the other two accomplices during the killings.
I mean, the guys who were there,
the guys who admitted to being there,
said he
wasn't this dude wasn't there. Douglas, this is Cynthia Douglas, the eyewitness, later said detectives pressured her into identifying Strickland as the shooter. She tried to recant for years before her death in 2015.
So they have the guys that were there saying no, he wasn't there.
Yes.
They have another person who was shot.
One of the victims. Yeah.
One of the victims
wasn't there.
Saying he wasn't the guy that shot us.
And that detectives pressured her into saying he was.
Which is, I mean, granted, that's what they do. But
Yes.
seriously, everything in this case points to why is this guy still in prison?
Yes. And
So
letter
what the fuck is going on with the damn Supreme Court?
Why here's the real question is to me that I keep asking, and I kept asking as I read this article. Why do the people who are in charge of keeping you in prison not have the right to say
the authority?
You shouldn't. Yeah. Why? No, I mean, like, literally the people, like the guards, the people at that prison. Why do they not have the right to say, well, you shouldn't be here, and then just not lock you up?
Yes, that would be nice.
That would require them not to, you know, bow down to daddy government.
Yeah, they lose their job. You know how paycheck is.
Right, but I'm saying they shouldn't, though. That's my point. Is like, how broken is this system that people can thoroughly believe that you are innocent, can know you are innocent, and still be legally obligated to lock you in a cage and have to do it?
That in and of itself, Andrew, is the question that brings us all together every fucking week.
That's an entire
government.
That conversation would last an entire episode on its own. Like we can go into the philosophical aspects of that and indoctrination, and we can tie that into the military and
we could take it all the way back
and everything.
Yeah, we could take it all the way back to Nazi Germany or before, where you had people that may have been relatively decent people, but they still stood in the guard towers and shot the Jews that tried to escape from the concentration camps.
We go further back than that and talk about slaves. We go further back than that and talk about slave catchers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like, imagine. No, but this is but people, like, if we want to talk about slave catchers, like, people actually actively still said, well, yeah, legally I'm supposed to be obligated to help you, right? The Fugitive Slave Act. But I'm supposed to be obligated to help you, but fuck you, I'm not going to do it.
Right there. Fuck you, no.
Fuck you, no. And that's what they did. My point is that these people, like, everyone involved in this case on the state side says, nah, he's not guilty. And yet they're still willing to lock him up.
So, all right. In a letter supporting Strickland's release, Baker and her chief deputy, Dan Nelson, said the evidence used to convict Strickland as a teenager has since been eviscerated. Federal prosecutor in the Western District of Missouri, Jackson County's presiding judge, Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas, and members of the team that convicted Strickland 4 decades ago also now all agree that he deserves to be exonerated.
Even the people who prosecuted the fucking case don't believe he's guilty.
If Strickland is exonerated, he will have experienced the longest wrongful imprisonment in Missouri history.
I mean, this guy has been. Think about he went into prison. What, 78?
The killings occurred in 78. So yeah.
He goes into prison in 78. Think about everything that this guy has just witnessed remotely.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, right? He witnessed. I mean, the kind of culmination of the civil rights movement. He witnessed the fall of communism. He witnessed the Iran-Contra scandal, and he witnessed the Monica Lewinsky scandal, and he witnessed the rise of cell phones and the internet.
He witnessed 9/11
and the Gulf War and the second Gulf War and Afghanistan and all of these things. He's witnessed them all from behind bars because a couple of cops pressured a traumatized shooting victim into pointing a finger at him.
Yes.
Yep.
And now the court says, no, you still stay behind bars.
Yes.
Yep. So he was traumatized. He's been victimized repeatedly over and over and over by the state for the last 40 years. And just as one last fuck you to this innocent man, the state once again says, no, you get to stay.
Not only that, he'll forever be punished. is what I'm getting at, because he's past the age of having family, of having children.
Yep.
He'll never have
His entire
grandchildren. He'll
life
never
is
have
shot.
grandchildren.
Oh yeah, he's got to be. I mean, psychologically, he's got to be institutionalized by now. I mean, spending that much of his entire adult life, 40 years, more than 40 years behind bars, he's got to be institutionalized by now. He won't even know exactly how to function without a strict regimen being dictated to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I can't.
And I guess maybe that's their justification for keeping him locked up, is he can't function on the outside on his own anyway, so we're just gonna leave him here. But still,
well, if that were the case, they would get him off the war, or off the block, and move him to like a hospital ward or something.
Right.
I mean, well, there's minimum security options, but he can't be there because he's a convicted murderer. So he can't be in a minimum security.
No.
I mean, and I wonder, like, if I was in that position, would I kill myself, or would I stay alive just to spite them?
Oh, I'd check out a long time ago.
I mean, I don't know, man. Hatred can keep you going in all kinds of ways.
Oh, it sure can. I guess for me, I don't think I would kill myself. I think I would end up at least making it worth it to be locked up for life. They've already pissed away my entire life. So
those guys here in Cali that pride themselves on taking out, pedos.
Yeah, right. I just start doing that. So, like, all right, well, you're gonna lock me up for murder. Like, I'm gonna fucking start killing people. Cool beans.
Right. That's exactly what I'm getting at. It's like, if you're gonna keep me here, even though it's been shown that I'm an innocent man, well, then I might as well do something for the good of the people that are still on the outside. And you touched little kids. Guess what? You're gonna drown in your own fucking toilet.
How do you not? But I mean, like, how do you not lose all hope at that point? Like, how do you not just get to this point where you're just like, my life is over. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm locked up. So,
all right, you guys want to go over the article, the Kansas City Star's investigation article?
Sure.
Okay. So this is an article from September 27 of 2020. It's linked in the original article, but it says just before 9:30 p.m. on Tuesday, April 25th, 1978, a call about a shooting cracked through police radios. Patrolling under a clear and dark sky, officers threw on their emergency lights and sped to South Benton Avenue in Kansas City. The first officers to arrive found a woman, Cynthia Douglas, this is the witness, 20, screaming, suffering from a shotgun wound above her left knee. Her clothes were covered in blood and brain matter. As they applied pressure to the injury and questioned her, the officers realized she was among 4 people shot in a nearby bungalow. Douglas, detectives soon learned, was the only survivor, the lone witness who, aside from the shooters themselves, can tell what unfolded inside a small white house at 6934 South Benton Avenue. Walking inside, detectives saw blood smeared on the door between the barred windows. They found a man lying face down in the living room, his hands tied behind his back. In the bedroom, a woman sat on the floor with her hands tied in front of her. A man lay tipped over on the bed, his wrists also bound, his feet hanging off the edge. Each had been shot in the head. Outside, about 60 people gathered on the lawn and street, comforting each other as they waited word of the victims' identities. News cameramen crouched behind brown rope police used to guard the crime scene, their lenses watching as investigators searched the stoop. The acting police chief joined detectives at the scene. She did the top warrant officer from the prosecutor's office, who was there to oversee the legal questions. Her presence, a captain said, was a matter of, quote, making sure we touched all the bases. And he added, we're not perfect.
We're not perfect.
Indeed, the investigation would never catch all 4 of the killers, but it did result in life in prison for an innocent man, according to 2 other men convicted in the murders and the only witness. 4 decades later, Kevin Strickland, who was 18 when he was arrested, is the only person still in prison. So the other 2 people that pled guilty are no longer in prison.
Yeah, they've been released.
Released or dead, either one.
Yeah.
So he's the only one in prison. Now 61 and using a wheelchair, he maintains he was wrongly convicted.
And everybody who is in a position to know says so.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Here, this is the answer to the question. Vincent Bell and Kilma Atkins admitted their guilt. Both were convicted, served their time behind bars, and are now free. Both say Strickland wasn't there. Instead, they identified 2 other men who were involved, but were never arrested.
Yeah, because they had Strickland.
Yeah.
Yep.
So quote, I know because I'm one of the ones who did it. God forgive me, Bell told the Star. Bell was one of the guys that admitted to it and pled guilty.
Okay, so wait. So the 2 guys who admitted they did it
are both out of jail.
Are both free.
Both named the people that did it.
They named the people who did it, who were also actively left free.
Yes.
For the last 40 years. Yeah.
Yes.
And a guilty man,
an innocent
walked
man.
away. No, a guilty man walked away. 2 guilty men walked away and walked the streets.
Yes.
Totally scot-free, so that an innocent man could continue to serve their sentence.
Yes. The testimony of Douglas, this is Cynthia Douglas, this is the witness. The testimony of Douglas, who identified Strickland as one of the gunmen, was paramount in the case against him. But she, too, would later say police had the wrong man. Strickland could not have been put on trial without her testimony, says John O'Connor, the prominent Kansas City defense attorney who worked on the case at the time of the investigator for the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. Quote, period, end of story. The case rises and falls on Cynthia Douglas. That was according to the attorney.
So with her recanting her testimony, I mean, that by itself should cut him loose.
For years, Bell, this is one of the guys, right? Bell.
What a amount of guilt she had
Vincent,
for her entire life.
Vincent and Bell. So for years, Vincent Bell, he's one of the guys that pled guilty, has said Strickland's time in prison is for nothing. He asserted Strickland's innocence in front of a judge a year after the killings. So this is 1979. And in 2013, signed an affidavit saying Strickland did not commit or know anything about the crime.
And this is a guy that's convicted, right? He admitted it. He's not going anywhere. It's not going to give him a shorter sentence.
Not only did he admit to it, he admitted to it and named the other killers.
Yeah. And named the other people.
And said this guy wasn't one of them.
Yeah. So this guy is gaining nothing by saying this. He's not getting a shorter sentence. He's not looking at getting any benefits. Nothing else out of this.
He's already spent his time. He's out.
At the time, within the 1 year, like he's serving a bunch of a sentence. He knows he is. He's not getting anything out of this. He just is doing it because he's like, no, this guy is innocent. He's doing it because of humanity. He's doing it because he can't watch an innocent man sit there for a crime that he didn't have anything to do with.
Bell goes on to say, quote, we'll never know what this man could have been. That's saying Strickland. You don't know. Man. Okay. So the killings. Before Douglas was placed in the ambulance that night, detectives came away with the names of 2 suspects she knew and recognized. That is Vincent Bell, and Atkins. Right? Those are the 2 people that were convicted.
Right.
She could not, however, identify 2 other killers who have fled into the night. One had a brown paper sack over his head, she said. The other carried a shotgun and reportedly told her, quote, don't look at me.
The paper bag killer.
Yes. Ambulance attendants would soon remove the bodies from the home. The identifiers of the slain were confirmed in the morgue. Douglas's boyfriend, John Walker, her close friend, Sherry Black, and 21-year-old Laura Ingram, who went to the bungalow.
And imagine how fucking cold-blooded these motherfuckers are, too.
Oh, yeah.
That they let go. That these guys had people tied up on their knees on a bed, completely not a threat, and just pointed a shotgun at their fucking heads and executed them. And the prosecution let them fucking walk. Yeah.
Because they thought because they were convinced that
they were convinced. It was that if they prosecuted them, they would have to let somebody that they had already put
Yes.
so much time and effort into putting behind bars go
Yes.
and admit they were wrong.
It was essentially a justification for the effort that they put into it to this point.
Also, you got to
Or
remember,
lack
remember this too. So this is 1978. They already have the names of the two guys, and they convicted this third guy. If they were to let him out, if Cynthia were to say, hey, you know, they pressured me, blah 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 blah, and the courts were to look at that and go, oh, the cops pressured her, we have to let Strickland out now because of this, that calls into question the conviction of the other two also.
Yep.
So letting Strickland out at that point, I mean, this a year after the killings, you know, Bell admitted to it in court, right? So this is 1979. If they had said no on Strickland, any defense attorney worth his weight in salt would have said, hey, you know, you gotta let the other boys out too. So in the time, Douglas would tell detectives what she could do about the shooting, some of which were bolstered by what Bell said in the 1979 guilty plea to the 3 counts of second-degree murder. That afternoon, Bell and Adkins, these are the two that were identified, along with Terry Abbott, 21, and a 16-year-old boy, went to Stroke Park and drank beers. Afterward, on their way to Bell's mother's house, they stopped to talk to Strickland, who lived on the block and was outside. The four, the Bell and Abbott and the other two, they didn't stay long. Abbott and Adkins later talked about getting their money back from Ingram, who the week before bet Adkins out of $300 using crooked dice in a crap game. So the revenge
This
killing.
was okay.
Yeah.
This was
So-
revenge killing.
He cheated.
Yeah. The bungalow was used to throw gambling parties. Another game was set for that night, so the group drove there in 2 cars. Douglas, Black, and Walker were watching TV, smoking weed, and drinking cognac when the 4 arrived. Three's Company, a sitcom that began airing on the year before, was about halfway over. The group tied up the victims, blah, blah, blah. Shotgun pellets. Douglas listened, waiting for the killers to leave before freeing herself and limping out of the house to search for help. She hobbled over to a 17-year-old girl who was outside, grabbed her and fell on the sidewalk. Hide me, they don't know I'm alive. They think they've killed me. So later, after Douglas was released from the hospital, she would identify Strickland as one of the killers. Bell and Adkins saw Strickland's arrest on the news. Quote, that's good, Adkins told Bell, because they're starting off wrong. They picked up the wrong man. After
They wanted the other two to get free.
Yeah, after escaping to Wichita, Bell and Adkins were arrested and brought back to Kansas City to face murder charges. Throughout the court hearing, as he pleaded guilty, Bell insisted Strickland was not with them and the other suspects during the shooting. He proclaimed of Douglas's identification, quote, she made a hell of a mistake. Quote,
So even throughout this discovery period, they said, dude, he's not one of us.
Yeah. Quote, I'm telling you the truth today that Kevin Strickland wasn't there at the house that day, Bell said. I'm telling the state and the society out there right now, Kevin Strickland wasn't there at the house. So Strickland remembers his first trial ending on a hung jury of 11-1, with the only black juror, a woman, holding out for acquittal. One of the prosecutors who recalled came to the defense table and said, quote, this won't happen next trial. 2 months later, an all-white jury convicted Strickland on 1 count of capital murder and 2 counts of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 50 years. The most damning testimony at trial came from Douglas. She said there was, quote, no question Strickland was one of the gunmen, though her testimony at times did not match that of police.
Where's the fucking YouTube or not YouTube, Netflix documentary on this?
There
Right.
needs to be one.
Like, where's the Netflix documentary on this?
Decades passed. While Strickland languished in prison, Douglas married and became a grandmother. The murders and her testimony disturbed her all these years, and she was working an accounting at Jackson's County Family Court Division in 2009 when she wrote an email to the Midwest Innocence Project. Its subject line, quote, wrongfully charged. Quote, I'm seeking info on how to help someone who was wrongly accused. I was the only witness and things were not clear back then, but now I know more and would like to help the person if I can.
It took her 30 years.
Yes, she died in 2015.
Yeah. So I have a feeling that part of that at least was that she didn't know, like she didn't know how to do anything about it.
Well,
Like
I mean,
she didn't know
she
how
was-
to.
How old was she? Was what, 19 at the time?
Yeah.
Right, something
And
like that.
if you realize you made that level of a mistake, how scared are you to even admit that it was a mistake? Especially in 19, 20, 21. You're terrified of saying, like, I screwed up.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you consider, in that environment, you'd be looking at a hell of a lot of retribution from the cops for recanting yourself at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're gonna come at you and pressure you again and say, "Did they get to you? What did they do to you?" Like, you're gonna get a ton of that.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. I'm starting to get that feeling. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting to get that feeling.
It's and it just, I mean, again, like I said at the beginning, like if you ever have a friend who goes, or somebody who says, "We'll just wait for your day in court," bring up this case, because dude did have his day in court, got convicted anyway. Dude had another day in court where every single person who mattered said he was innocent, including the prosecution, and it still didn't make a difference.
Nope.
The people who
said
admitted to the killing said, "No, bro, dude wasn't there."
Yeah, he wasn't there. The people who prosecuted it originally say he wasn't there, he's innocent. The people who are prosecutors now say he wasn't there, he's innocent. Everyone involved says he's innocent, and the court says
he's gonna
I don't care.
And the court punted the decision.
Yep.
Oh my god. Yeah. All right, let's do.
What? Honestly, this guy, what he really needs is somebody, and I'm not saying I would ever condone this action, but he needs some people to go down there, spring his ass, take him to a titty bar, buy him some hookers, get him some coke, get him blitzed out of his fucking mind, so he can actually live a little bit before his time on this earth is over.
Yep. He's already in a wheelchair. I mean, yeah. All right, let's Well, we got a little bit of time left. Let's move on. Let's do a good article. Because
are we going to Texas?
No, we're not going to Texas.
Oh, sad.
We're going to Virginia. And Derek is not here, so.
And that's why I was asking if we were going to Texas, is because Derek wasn't here.
No, we can go to Texas after this article. I want to go to Virginia first.
All right.
Andrew, you still with us? No, Andrew got to go take a piss. But this is WRIC.com, Channel 8 News. I know it's ABC 8 News. But Amelia County community holds prom for students after school event canceled.
For 2 years in a row.
Yes. So this is Amelia County public school students had their prom canceled 2 years in a row to the ongoing pandemic. After the second cancellation, the community and Building Hope, a nonprofit organization, decided to host a prom for Amelia County high school students. The prom was held on Friday, May 21st at the Courthouse Square. The event was made possible with the help of 26 community volunteers. Almost 150 juniors and seniors attended the event.
Honestly, what they should have opened it up to the seniors that graduated last year, whose cool. Senior prom was canceled, because they got shit on too. So
yeah, local businesses and members of the community donated all the money needed to hold the prom. There was food provided by Archer's Barbecue, and music was done by a local DJ. Some students even won gift cards and money through a raffle. So Building Hope says the event went off without a hitch. But this is the kind of like community, voluntary community building type of thing that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And absolutely. Gets no play on like the national TV.
Yeah, no one
national
ever
level?
wants to talk because if you talk about how communities can come together, right? You can talk about how they can just do things that are super nice for everybody, and that ruins this narrative that oh the country is so divisive and so divided and everybody
Hmm.
hates everybody, so we need government to continue to overarch everything.
Yep. And I mean, this is no different than, private people going out with a wheelbarrow, a stamp, and a shovel and filling in potholes. This is people who have volunteered their time and their money and their efforts to make sure that these kids get the experiences that they have been looking forward to for all their years in high school. All the stuff that's grandirized
Mhm.
in high school movies and stuff like that. These are kids
You
that
know,
they deserve this. I mean, they've been cooped up. Most of them probably been staring at a fucking computer screen for most of the school year.
Oh yeah.
well, yeah, and that's what I was
And
gonna say is like you remember like if you watch some older movies and stuff where they talk about like dance halls and these
mhm,
regular big community events and stuff that kids could go to and have these constant events or these constant places they could
yep,
go and socialize and have fun and everything else. And you notice that those all died right around the time that all this youth crime started to steadily increase and youth
mm,
obesity started to steadily increase and all these things started to get worse when all of a sudden if it's summer and I don't have anywhere to go and I'm 15, what do? What am I going to do with myself?
I don't know.
this day and age, you're probably gonna sit in front of the fucking TV and play video games.
Yeah.
All right. That was just a cool story. I like
Yeah,
it.
that's really cool.
Sure.
The
I like
community
it.
was just like, hey, these kids need this. Like they've been looking forward to this. This is an essential, kind of a traditional part of the experience of being a kid that you get to have this. And it's not fair that they don't get to have it. Like that's a load of shit. So we're gonna put it on for them. They're gonna get this. They're gonna get to have, it's almost like Footloose.
And it was done entirely voluntary. That's the best
Yeah.
part.
That's the
Yeah.
best part.
So
Yeah, they just decided they were gonna do it and they became heroes, just like Kevin Bacon.
You sound an awful lot like Star-Lord.
Yeah, that's where I was going
All right.
with that. It's like,
all right,
just like-
let's talk about the reason that we're all here. Strippers.
All right, we're going to Texas.
that's why everybody listens to us, man, because we talk
Yeah.
about strippers.
Barely legal strippers now fully illegal in Texas. You okay there, Andrew?
Yep.
I think that went down the wrong pipe.
Oh, barely legal
That's what she
strippers
said.
now fully illegal. Like that just sounds
That's-
like a fucking tagline for a sequel. I'm just saying.
Uh,
So they're of the age of majority. They're adults according to the letter of the law.
the headline.
but-
The headline gets better, right?
Of course it fucking does.
The penalty for employing 18 to 20-year-olds to work a nude, topless, or, quote, in a sexually oriented commercial activity is now 2 to 20 years in prison.
What the fuck?
Yes.
I could if I just hire a 20-year-old stripper, I could spend as much time in prison as she was alive when I hired her.
Yep.
Bikini baristas. Remember we talked about those before?
But remember,
An
this is-
18-year-old bikini barista in Texas right now could get the employer 2 to 20 years in prison.
but
that is-
remember, this is Texas, the bastion of freedom.
And yet, those same chicks can set up an OnlyFans.
Or they can be join the military and be handed a fully automatic weapon and sent to a
Yeah.
foreign country.
Yeah, you can go. So you're allowed. So if you're 18 and you live in Texas, you're allowed to sign up for the military and go get killed by some dude that you didn't know, who didn't know you, you had no actual beef with,
Not only
in a
can
country
you
that
do,
you
not
couldn't
only
find
can
on
you
a
do,
fucking
In a
map.
but
war that
you would
started
be
before you were
celebrated.
born.
You would be celebrated if you
Yeah.
did that.
And then you can do that. But if you want a beer or a cigarette or to strip and make money that way,
Or to shake what
You-
the good Lord gave you.
yeah, that's, oh my God, that's retarded.
Yes.
So hard.
Oh, it's all under the guise of safety, though.
Of
Don't
course,
worry, it's
Yes.
for your safety.
It's
We're
always
doing
for
this.
your safety.
And a
It's because they're
performative,
doing this because they love you.
yes, and a performative bid against quote human trafficking. Texas has raised the legal age for working at a strip club from 18 to 21 years old, putting many employees out of work and putting clubs that hire them, even inadvertently, in risk of serious legal penalties, including up to 20 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. The state
yes,
also
those damn
hold on,
human traffickers.
hold on. Oh wait, this is
strippers.
hold on. This is the part where Andrew's going to lose his fucking lid. The state also updated part of its penal code to define a child as anyone under the age of 21.
So does that mean though the age of majority in Texas is now 21?
Yeah.
So the age of consent is now 21. The age of voting in Texas is now 21. The age of what?
You can still choose your leader. You can still go die for dear leader. You are not allowed, however, to exercise any amount of actual freedom or body autonomy whatsoever until you're 21.
So you're 3 years beyond the federal age of majority.
Remember that song, right? Eve of Destruction? You're old enough to kill, but not for voting?
Yes.
Yep.
You're old enough to kill, but not for stripping.
Yes. There's no evidence that legal strip clubs in Texas are rife with underage workers, which would be against the law in the first place, right?
Yeah, it's already illegal.
Yeah, nor that young adults working in the strip clubs are at higher risk of human trafficking. Texas lawmakers and their counterparts in Congress and in states across the country love to do something about sexual exploitation, even if that thing has serious ancillary consequences and no chance in hell of accomplishing its stated goals.
See,
like gun control.
The thing is, here's the thing, right? That you need to understand is that where the left will talk about doing something about gun violence, and everything they do does absolutely nothing to help with gun violence in any way, shape, or form. It's all just theater, right? In that same way, the right, at least in this instance, right, is saying that I'm going to do something about human trafficking and then do something that in no possible way...
Alleged human trafficking. There's no proof that this
There's no proof.
happens
that's what I'm
in
saying.
Texas strip clubs.
No, that's what I'm saying, though. Is they're like, well, I'm going to do something about Texas, in Texas, about human trafficking, and then do something that has nothing to do with curbing human trafficking at all in any way, shape, or form. And, I can guarantee you that whoever the fuck came up with this, it's because they ran into their 18-year-old daughter in a fucking strip club, saw them naked, and went, oh, Jesus, I need to do something about this. And that's why they fucking introduced it.
Yes. They can go fight in a war that's
there's
as
a high
old as
probability that Andrew's spot on with that.
They can go fight in a war that's as old as they are, but they can't strip.
Yeah, I mean, are you kidding? Do you own your body or do you fucking not? Are you free or are you fucking not?
Hey, plug it or unplug and plug in your mic. You're getting robot voice. What the new Texas law, that is SB 315, will do is make it illegal for adult women inclined to work in a strip club to do so, driving up the likelihood, this is the barrier to entry that we talked about before, driving up the likelihood that some of them will instead engage in more risky forms of sex works and or fall into the arms of exploitative third parties, those who police call traffickers and pimps. Meanwhile, someone already under the control of a trafficker will still be, but in a location further underground.
So essentially what they're saying with that paragraph is this will take people who are not under the influence of a trafficker as it is, who voluntarily strip on the pole for damn good cash money.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have to go into the arms of a trafficker, thus increasing the
or
instance
pimp,
of human trafficking.
or drive it underground, right, where they do like
or
modeling services, quote unquote modeling services, in which they go to like a private residence, bachelor party type situation, which again is a dangerous situation because it's not an legal setting.
Like any law against sex work, all it manages to actually do is drive people who are going to do it into situations that are less safe, that are more likely to result in them being trafficked, that are more likely to result in some sort of a negative outcome versus working in a nice high-end. If you've ever been to a high-end strip club, and I've been to a few, if you've ever been, the one that Lindsay used to work at actually was a really high-end strip club back in the day. If you've ever been there, there are tons of security guards. There are tons of security cameras. They are very, very strict about what can and can't happen. They are very protective of the girls. There's a lot of safety things in place. It's a very safe place for a woman to explore her sexuality a little bit and show it off, right?
Well, and not even just the high-end places. There's a few of the more unsavory low-end places in the area where Andrew and I live too. And even there, they have a decent amount of security. Everything is under video surveillance.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been to any of those clubs.
I'm sure you haven't.
Why 21? That's what I'm the arbitrary number of 21, right? I mean, one can make an argument. One can make an argument that a 21-year-old girl is no different than a 20-year-old girl, right? Which is no different than But if they're worried about sex trafficking, right? Well, a 21-year-old girl is no different than a 20-year-old girl. So why 21? Why not 25? Right? Yeah. Let's get to the point where women stop looking like teenagers if they're worried about sex trafficking. Right? No strippers under 25. Right? If we don't want to entice that sort of child trafficking or child lookalike trafficking, let's go to 25 or 28.
And
they pick 21 most likely because in most of those places, I don't know about in Texas what the laws are and whatnot, but like in Wisconsin, if you're under the age of 21 and you're in a bar after 9 o'clock at night, you're actually technically in commission of not a felony, but a crime. And they'll charge you with underage drinking, even if you're stone sober.
Yeah. Well, unless you are working the bar, which is where it gets super arbitrary. If you are working at the bar, because I worked at a bar bartending at 18 here in Wisconsin with no problem.
Yeah. See, that's another one of these that this talks about. We're not talking about just stripping, like working in a strip club in a sexually oriented commercial activity. Right. So even simply working in a strip club.
Yeah, you're a bartender. You're an 18-year-old guy who's a security guard. Because remember, this doesn't just apply to women. This is anybody. So if you're an 18-year-old fit buff guy,
the bouncer, the door bouncer.
Yeah, and you're gonna be a bouncer. Well, now you're actually doing something against the law that can get your employer between 2 and 20 years in prison.
So all right, back to the article. It says this is from Jesse Sage. He is the managing editor of Peep Show magazine and a self-described erotic laborer. Quote, what the hell is an erotic laborer?
I love that.
I was wondering that myself.
It's the same thing as the political operative. I'm an erotic
political operative and erotic laborer. Those might be my new bio.
Yeah, like
all right. Quote those who push this bill may feel like heroes for rescuing 18, 19, 20-year-olds from what they believe to be the horrors of the sex industry. Yet, in the wake of a global pandemic that has devastated the economy and the lack of employment protections for sex workers, the sure harms of such laws far outstrip any imagined benefits, particularly for the young dancers whose livelihoods now hang in the balance.
Well, yeah, and how many of these girls? I mean, like realistically, right? Like who goes into stripping at 18, right? It's not exactly going to be the future rocket scientists or cancer researchers, right? That isn't who's going to go into stripping at 18. It's going to be the chicks
Hey,
who were
Bambi and Cherry have a future.
To be perfectly
Just
honest with you,
don't
Andrew,
you insult Lemon that way.
no. Wait. I actually work with a doctor. She is a DO and a general surgeon who's very good at what she does. And she told me point blank how she paid her way through pre-med and med school and all that.
As an erotic
Stripping.
laborer.
She was a stripper for like 9 years as she worked her way all the way up through getting a DO.
Yeah. And now they can't do that in Texas. Now you can't strip to work your way through med school because you have to wait until you're 21, which means you've already gone through pre-med and incurred a shit ton of debt. And so now you're going to have to strip and possibly hook.
You can't strip, you can't dance to get money for college, but you can take out $100,000 loan for money
with
for college.
No credit whatsoever, no payment history.
Yeah, to go to college. Like this is
go to college.
This is just stupid in so many ways.
All right. Checking to make sure no 18, 19, or 20-year-olds are employed in strip clubs also gives cops another excuse to conduct raids, demand to see the business records, and harass owners and staff. And it provides a new and easier way to entrap places into law breaking in order to shut them down. Those who may have considered it unethical to send a minor with a fake ID into a strip club may have fewer reservations when it is to bait a 20-year-old into pretending to be 21. Strip clubs aren't the only ones affected also. The law, which signed into law May 24th and went into effect immediately, says all, quote, sexual-oriented businesses must comply with the new age limit. So working at shops selling sex toys, porn, or other adult goods is now off limits to adults under the age of 21, even though it's illegal for the same adults to purchase sex toys, purchase porn, or go into strip clubs and other sexual-related businesses. Hold on. Adult modeling studios, webcam studios, and their ilk are off limits also.
Yeah, and how are you going to ever enforce that? That you want to talk about, the webcam industry, right? The webcam model industry is one of the largest places that sex trafficking happens.
Yes.
Plain and simple it is. It is the number one place where sex trafficking happens.
So 18 years old, happy 18th birthday. You can go into a strip club. You can go into a porn shop. You can buy a dildo, but you can't dance in that shop, sell that porn, or sell that dildo.
Right.
Well, and here's the thing: is with the way this law is written, right? And here's the kind of upsetting thing with the way this law is written. If a chick decides she's going to start an LLC, right? And I know a couple of girls who do OnlyFans and stuff who have LLCs, right, for their business, because then they can use that as a tax write-off for when they're buying whatever they're buying for their OnlyFans content and stuff, right? That, because they're the owner of that LLC, if they're 18, they're in violation of the law, which means they can get between 2 and 20 years in prison for employing themselves to show off their bodies on the web for money.
Oh. There's some simp dudes out there that are going to be simping so hard.
But hey, remember, it's all for your protection.
Yeah, and yet people, and yet Texans love to talk about how free Texas is. But you know what? The one place that Texas has historically perpetually not been free is in self-ownership. I own my body and can do what I want with it.
Yep. So, sell your body. We need to make that meme, dance in a strip club and the guy's looking away and looks back and it's join the military, go to a foreign country, or take out $100,000 in debt for college.
Yep.
That was.
and
then Texas.
To Texas looking away and Texas looking back.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like they're arguing. And again, this is where like we bring up that oh, it's for your protection, it's for your own good, is perpetually the argument of tyrants.
Right.
Uh-huh.
But and even here they said point blank in the article that obviously this isn't going to actually protect anybody. It's just going to drive adults between the ages of 18 and 21.
No, under the new law, they changed the definition in the penal code. So if you're under 21, you're technically a child in the state of Texas.
So then which is why I said adults, because according to federal law, as far as the age of majority and all that stuff, it's 18. So for 3 years, if you live in the state of Texas, here's the best thing you can do. If you're in the state of Texas, enlist in the reserves and then move out of state and go strip there. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, let's throw some plugs and get out of here. Which they couldn't sell to us in Texas. Sell plugs. All right.
Well, she's not here, so buy Derica's book.
Yes, and her crochet pattern, both linked in the description.
Yep. Check out, if you want to care for your beard like a Viking, make sure that you check out thebeardstruggle.com. Use code InkedAnarchist15, you get 15% off. Also, check out shopvalerio.com. If you use code InkedAnarchist25, you get 25% off of your fashion watches, sunglasses, among other things. Also, check out Avante Creo, that is AVENTIOCRIO.com. Use code InkedAnarchist25, get 25% off of sunglasses, hats, shirts, all sorts of cool fashion streetwear, and you support me as you do that. Make sure that you check out my sponsors because they're cool and they give me stuff, and I would really like them to give me more stuff.
And I don't have any fancy sponsorships like Andrew does, but this past week I recently set up a page on MeWe. If you're familiar with that particular social media website, all you have to do is search for Anarchy Among Friends, and we will come up in the search. So come follow us on there. Also, if you are familiar with the alt tech platform of Rumble, I will be uploading all future episodes from this day forward to that platform as well.
Oh, and speaking of MeWe, Inked Anarchist Hootenanny Roundup is back, motherfuckers! And it is on MeWe.
Oh, God, you guys are going to make me have to download another app, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to bring back it all. I'm re-uploading all of my Boog memes, all of my side quest memes. They're all going there.
I saw a post today from Magnus Paviata. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's the Boog boy out of Michigan that made that really, really good public speech that went viral.
Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
I saw a post from him today on Twitter talking about how he misses the Boog side quest memes.
Yep. Well, I'm bringing them all back. I actually replied to that. I pointed out that they're all going to be on MeWe, so those will all be there. You will have access to all of the ones that were on that website on Facebook once upon a time. They will all be back and better than ever. I'm going to be adding to it constantly. Also,
about
don't forget
half
to check
of
out.
them are Andrew's, about half of them are mine.
Well, 3/4. Well, all of them initially uploaded are going to be mine, but we'll keep adding to them. Also, don't forget to check out our boys at Poppins Patches. He makes some cool stuff.
Go give Poppins Patches some love.
He's constantly rocking some new stuff. He's constantly bringing out things. He just had a new one the other day where he was like, "Should I bring that out?" And absolutely, he should bring that one out. We will probably eventually, when I decide that I want to throw some money at it, we are going to have him do an Anarchy Among Friends patch that we're going to start selling. Maybe that'll be the birth of our merch store. Maybe we'll start with that.
Yeah. Okay. Hear me still?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that was weird. My microphone went.
Yeah,
looks like we just. Oh. Did we just stop recording?
No, I'm still showing the recording. We're still on, man.
All right,
people are still listening to us. So
I don't know.
Well, I don't know if anybody's actually still listening to us, but it's still going anyway.
I don't know. Let's get out of here before my computer has a hissy fit and shuts down again, and we do all that shit. So This has been episode 137. I have no fucking idea what I'm going to call it, but we'll figure it out.
We'll come up with something. It'll, I don't know, maybe we'll do some sort of 60s music reference.
No, Dongcopter. Come on.
Dongcopter?
That's
which they couldn't sell you in Texas if you're under.
Friends encourage friends to be adult aviation political operatives. That's
including in Texas.
Dongcopter for president. All right, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Later.